Hey guys, welcome back to the Out Jeeping YouTube channel. My name's Austin, and in today's video we're going to be replacing the old oil pressure sending unit on this Jeep J10 360 and replacing it with the new one. And we also got a product that I'm going to be showing you guys that we're going to be installing here soon on my Jeep Cherokee XJ, so stick around to the end of the video to find out. So let's get started. Alright, so looking at the oil pressure sending unit, I got a Crown Automotive one right here. I got this off of quadratech.com. Part number's right there, but I'll put a link in the description below so you guys can find it for yourself. Now looking inside at the actual pressure sending unit, we just got a simple thread-on attachment right here, and then we got our electrical connector back here. And I decided to go with this one right here because I want a nice bolt-on ring terminal style. The current one that's on the Jeep right now is actually a spade connector, and most of the replacement ones for this year actually are like a button style connector, which I'm not too big of a fan of. I'll still have to get the pigtail for that to splice into the wiring harness, and I just want something that's a little bit more solid connection, so I decided to go with this one. Should work just fine. We'll just have to splice on a new end and a wiring harness and heat shrink it up with some heat shrink. But this one right here is for our gauge. There's other oil pressure sending units that are meant if you just have an oil light on your cluster, it's going to be a little bit different style oil pressure sending unit, but this one right here is for the gauge. And one other thing, when we install the new one, we do want to put some Teflon tape on the threads right here, so that way we don't have any oil leaks when we go and start it up. So let's go over to the Jeep, take a look at the old one, and remove it and install this guy. Alright, to show you guys what a bad oil pressure sending unit kind of looks like, I don't even have to start up the Jeep for it to show you that it's bad. I'll just turn the ignition so it gives power. And as you can see, we got way over 80 pounds of oil pressure and it's not even running. So this basically tells me that the oil pressure sending unit's bad. It could be a possibility that the gauge is bad first, but it's always easier to change out the pressure sending units first, so we're going to go ahead and do that. It sometimes does bounce back as you're driving after the engine's warmed up. It might go back to 40, but from my experience with driving this thing so far, it just bounces all over the place, so it's definitely not accurate. Alright, so I'm going to apologize in advance for the camera angle as well as the background noise with my heater, but this oil pressure sending unit is pretty tucked up in here on this AMC 360. It's kind of hard to get at from the top since we got the header right on the top, and then from below we got the oil filter in the way, but as you can see, it's right here and all nice and dusty and corroded. So first thing we're going to do is disconnect the electrical connector. You're going to want to disconnect your battery first whenever you're working on electrical stuff. Now since this is just a typical spade connector, all we got to do is pull off on it. And we'll get that out of the way because we're going to have to put a ring terminal on that. Now I'm going to go from underneath and try to unscrew that. I believe that's going to be a 9/16 wrench to get on there, and I'm going to have a rag ready in case any oil comes out. Broke that free, now I can turn it by hand. Alright, so we do have some oil leaking out. Alright, so before we install this new oil pressure sending unit, I'm going to put a little bit of Teflon tape on the threads right here. Just a few wraps around. You can also use some Teflon paste if you want, but it doesn't really matter as long as it seals up the threads. There we go, that's ready to get installed. I'm going to try and quickly get our new one back into the hole. Alright, now we'll go tighten that up with a wrench, so that way we get a nice seal with that Teflon tape. And with this new one, it's actually going to be a 14mm instead of a 9/16 for this hex portion. Alright, so now before we can hook up our electrical connector, we got to swap out the spade connector for a ring terminal right here. So I actually already redid some of this engine wiring harness, that's why it looks a little bit newer. But we're going to still have to swap this out. So I'm going to cut off this old heat shrink right here. Peel that wire loom back a little bit, and now we're just going to cut off this end. Now I'll strip the insulation away a little bit. Now this is only 14 gauge wire in my terminal right here. It's meant for a little bit larger, but this is the only ring terminal size I have right now, so it should work fine. Now the heat shrink I'm using is going to fit over this, so I don't have to put that on first. I'm going to have it so it sticks out just a little bit, and then we'll crimp this down. Now I'm going to double up the heat shrink, put one over the wire and then one over the heat shrink. So it's going to go like that. I'll get a torch and we'll heat that up. Now I got another piece of heat shrink, and that's just going to keep it nice and attached on the end. Alright, not too pretty, but it's going to get it nice and watertight. So now we're ready to install this onto our new sending unit. We're going to back off that one nut, slip this on, and tighten it back up. Alright, so that nut on the end is going to be an 8mm, and I'm also adding a couple other washers on there since the eyelet is a little bit bigger than what it's intended for on here, just so it has nice contact for our electrical connection. Alright, and that is installed. Alright, so this thing doesn't like to start in the cold, so hopefully we can get it to run and see if the oil pressure sending unit is working properly. There we go, climbing up. Alright, so the one exciting thing I wanted to show you guys right here is actually sent out to me by Open Road, and it's actually a 3,000-pound winch that I'm going to throw over on my Jeep Cherokee XJ. I'm pretty excited to get started on this, so I'm going to basically show you guys all the features on this, as well as what all comes in the kit, and then in the future we're going to go install this and try it out on the Jeep. So this is going to be a little bit unboxing. I already got in here because I got a little excited, but starting off on top we got some nice decals right here. These are really nice big window or door decals, wherever you want to put it. And this is also their Panther series winch, so they got some Panther decals here and the Open Road decal as well. And as always, we got some nice instructions, so this is going to show you how to wire everything up. It's fairly simple. Pretty much everything goes in its right place. Shows you all the gear ratios as well as duty cycles and basically everything you need to know about this winch. And over here on top we have a nice winch cover. This is definitely something that I wanted, especially since I'm driving in winter. I don't want salt or anything corroding onto this brand new winch. So I got a winch cover right here. This is actually sold separate, but I'll post it in a link below as well. Now looking down into the box, we got our main winch right here. We got all of our electrical into our relay box over here, as well as some remotes and stuff. So I'm going to get this all out of the box and we'll lay it out and I'll show you guys all the components. Alright, so with the winch out of the box, first impressions, this thing is looking pretty slick. I like how it's all blacked out, and especially how it matches with the synthetic rope right here, which is a plus. A lot of people are moving to synthetic rope. It's a lot safer in case anything goes bad. You don't want a cable flying through the air, possibly becoming a projectile. But as far as all the rest of the components, we got a nice 13,000-pound winch right here with a synthetic rope already spooled onto the drum. We got a nice fair lead right here. This is a nice aluminum one, which is going to go perfect with our synthetic rope. And we also have a metal clevis over here, so you can attach this on the end, easily hook onto other things. And along with that, we got a nice Open Road logo on our tether right here, so that way you don't get any rope burn or anything like that trying to pull this thing out. One thing that I like, it comes with 2 remotes for doing this wirelessly, as well as a cordwood remote right here, in case if these were to get wet or something, or the batteries run out, you always have a wired overdrive right here that's going to work pretty much every time. Now looking over at the electronics, everything is pretty simple. We got our main relay box right here. We got 3 cables with boots on them, so it's nice and watertight. And that's going to correspond to the color-coded studs over here on the motor of the winch. Then we got one big positive cable. This is going to run directly to our positive side of the battery. Then we also have a ground cable right here, which is going to ground our winch as well. Along with that, they got some mounting hardware, so we can bolt this down to our winch plate or bumper or whatever application you're going for. And looking over here, it looks like we got a fuse block, so that way we're going to be nice and safe and reduce any electrical fires along with this. Now, as far as the specs on this winch right here, obviously it's a 13,000 pound pulling force on this. The motor in this is actually a 6 horsepower motor, and the gear reduction on it is a 3-stage planetary, and it gets it all the way down to 265:1 ratio, so you're going to get a lot of torque out of this motor. And I believe the total feet on the synthetic rope is around 85 feet, so that's definitely a good amount on there. And we got a nice smooth operating lockout right here. All you got to do is pull up and twist it, and then you should be able to unlock the drum and pull out your winch as you need it. Now looking over at our relay box, it looks pretty nice and weather tight, and over here is our safety on-off switch. This makes sure you don't accidentally hit the remote as you're going down the road. But looking at the box where the cables go in, this is what I really like. I like these cable glands right here because it has a rubber seal on the inside. All you gotta do is tighten this up, and it's gonna give it a 100% watertight connection right there. So I'm glad to see that on this relay box. But overall, that's pretty much it that's included in this Panther Series winch. Everything you're really going to need to get going on this. Obviously, you can upgrade little things in the future if you want to do different line, different clevis end. But this is really good for a basic beginner, especially if you're not too sure on where wires go and everything. All you really have to do is color match these 3 wires to the winch right here, and then you got your power and ground going all the way to your battery. So I'm pretty excited to get this mounted on my Cherokee. One thing I got to work on first is we're going to get a front bumper mounted on that, and then we can install our new winch. There's going to be a separate video for both of those, so you guys want to stay tuned for the future. But I want to thank Open Road for sending this out to me, and we'll see this soon on the Jeep Cherokee. Alright guys, that's going to be a wrap for today's short video. Overall, oil pressure sending units, they're fairly simple. Mine just a little bit more involved since I had to change out that connector on there. But now I got 2 working gauges on this Jeep J10, so hopefully I can get more working in the future. I'll put a link in the description below on that oil pressure sending unit. And I want to thank Open Road for sending out that winch. We're going to get that installed on this Jeep Cherokee here soon, so you guys want to stay tuned for that. I'll post a link in the description for the winch as well as the winch cover. So if you guys have any questions or comments, make sure to post it below. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like and subscribe to the OutTubing YouTube channel for more how-to content. Until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video.